Good evening, viewers. Tonight we bring you a moment that electrified the halls of Washington and stopped political chatter in its tracks. When J.D. Vance leaned forward and delivered the words, "Careful, Senator," the atmosphere shifted from routine debate to a charged standoff, instantly turning attention toward the next move in this high-stakes political drama. What exactly happened in that split second, and why is it being called a career-altering moment for Adam Schiff? Stay tuned as we break it down. When J.D. Vance leaned forward and delivered the words, "Careful, Senator," the atmosphere shifted from routine political sparring into something far more deliberate and charged. The phrase itself was short, almost understated, but its placement was surgical, cutting into the rhythm of Adam Schiff mid-argument and forcing an abrupt pause. In that instant, the balance of control appeared to tilt. Vance's tone carried a mix of warning and precision, suggesting not just disagreement, but a readiness to challenge the foundation of what had just been said. Observers noted how the pacing of the conversation changed immediately afterward, with every word gaining extra weight, as if the room collectively recognized that a boundary had been crossed. What made the moment especially potent was not volume or aggression, but restraint. Vance did not need to raise his voice. Instead, the calm delivery created a sharper contrast against the rising intensity of the exchange. The phrase "Careful, Senator" functioned as both a rhetorical break and a spotlight, signaling that the next statements would be scrutinized more intensely. It subtly reframed Schiff's position as potentially vulnerable, inviting listeners to question not just the argument, but its implications. The power of the moment lay in its ambiguity. Was it a warning, a challenge, or a calculated setup? That uncertainty drew attention and heightened anticipation. Vance's posture remained composed, his gaze steady, projecting confidence without overt confrontation. This composure can often carry more authority than visible frustration, especially in high-stakes political settings where perception is as influential as substance. Meanwhile, Schiff's reaction, however brief, became part of the narrative, as even a slight hesitation or shift in tone could be interpreted as acknowledgement of the moment's significance. The exchange no longer felt like a back-and-forth debate. It became a focal point, a moment people would replay and dissect. In political communication, such moments are rarely accidental. They are often the result of timing, awareness, and an understanding of audience psychology. By interrupting at a precise moment, Vance effectively reset the conversational frame, positioning himself as the one dictating the tempo. The phrase also carried a subtle implication of authority, as if caution was being advised not for politeness, but because something consequential was about to be exposed or challenged. This layered meaning is what allowed a simple sentence to resonate far beyond its length. The ripple effects extended beyond the immediate exchange. Viewers, commentators, and analysts often latch onto concise, emotionally charged moments because they are easy to remember and share. "Careful, Senator" became that kind of moment, compact, repeatable, and open to interpretation. It invited speculation about intent and outcome, encouraging audiences to project their own conclusions onto what might follow. In this way, the phrase transcended its immediate context and became a narrative anchor, shaping how the entire interaction would be remembered and discussed. The exact 12-word statement that froze the room and targeted the core. The defining element of the confrontation came when J.D. Vance delivered a precise 12-word statement aimed directly at Adam Schiff, a line crafted to challenge not just a position, but credibility itself. The specificity of a 12-word formulation suggests intentional design, each word chosen to build momentum, escalate tension, and land with maximum clarity. Unlike longer rebuttals that risk dilution, a tightly constructed sentence forces attention onto every component, leaving little room for distraction or misinterpretation. What made the statement so striking was its directness. Rather than circling around the issue, it cut straight to the point, addressing what Vance framed as a critical flaw or contradiction. In political discourse, such directness can be risky, as it opens the speaker to equal scrutiny. However, when executed with precision, it can also create a sense of decisiveness that resonates strongly with audiences. The 12-word structure gave the statement a rhythm, short enough to be memorable, yet long enough to carry a layered argument. The reaction in the room was as telling as the statement itself. Moments of silence in political settings often carry more weight than applause or interruption, as they indicate a collective pause for processing. That pause can signal surprise, tension, or even acknowledgement of impact. Observers often interpret such silence as evidence that something significant has occurred, even if opinions differ on what that significance means. In this case, the stillness following the statement contributed to its perceived power, reinforcing the idea that it had landed effectively. Another critical factor was how the statement reframed the broader discussion. By condensing his argument into a single focused line, Vance shifted the debate from multiple talking points to one central issue. This kind of reframing can be highly effective, as it forces opponents to respond within a narrowed scope, potentially limiting their ability to pivot or redirect. For Schiff, This meant addressing the core challenge head-on, under heightened scrutiny, with less room to maneuver rhetorically. The memorability of the 12-word statement also played a key role in its impact. In the age of rapid information sharing, concise and striking phrases are more likely to be quoted, clipped, and circulated. This amplifies their reach far beyond the original setting, turning a single moment into a broader narrative. The structure itself, being exactly 12 words, adds an almost symbolic quality, inviting repetition and analysis. Each retelling reinforces its significance, embedding it deeper into public discourse. Ultimately, the power of such a statement lies not just in its content, but in its delivery, timing, and aftermath. The combination of precision, confidence, and contextual awareness can transform a simple sentence into a defining moment, one that shapes perceptions and influences how both figures are viewed moving forward. The phrase that turned a clash into a perceived turning point. In a moment that quickly gained traction across political circles, observers noted how a single phrase reshaped the trajectory of the exchange between J.D. Vance and Adam Schiff. What began as a routine policy disagreement escalated into a defining confrontation after Vance introduced a carefully timed remark that many analysts now describe as the pivot point of the discussion. The phrasing, brief yet deliberate, appeared to crystallize underlying tensions that had been building throughout the interaction. Political commentators highlighted how the moment resonated not just because of its content, but because it reframed the narrative in real time. By interrupting the expected flow, Vance drew attention to what supporters called a critical inconsistency, while critics argued it was a calculated attempt to dominate the exchange. Media coverage quickly amplified the significance of the remark, with several outlets replaying the clip and dissecting its implications. The phrase's clarity and timing allowed it to cut through the broader debate, becoming the focal point of subsequent analysis and discussion. Early reactions suggested that the exchange may influence how both figures are perceived in future engagements, with some analysts suggesting it marked a shift in tone for similar political confrontations. As clips circulated widely online, the moment continued to spark debate over whether it represented a genuine turning point or a strategically amplified highlight. The strategic timing that shifted control mid-debate, according to political analysts. The timing of J.D. Vance's intervention played a decisive role in altering the dynamics of his exchange with Adam Schiff. Delivered at a moment when Schiff appeared to be building momentum, the interruption effectively disrupted the flow and redirected attention. Experts in political communication noted that such timing is rarely accidental, often reflecting a calculated effort to regain control of the narrative. Reports indicate that the interruption occurred at a critical juncture, just as the discussion was narrowing toward a key argument. By stepping in at that precise moment, Vance forced a pause that shifted the audience's focus. Analysts pointed out that well-timed interjections can serve as a reset mechanism, allowing the speaker to redefine the terms of the debate, while placing the opponent on the defensive. In this case, the move appeared to achieve exactly that, with the conversation taking on a noticeably different tone immediately afterward. Coverage from multiple outlets emphasized how timing, rather than volume or length, often determines the impact of a statement in high-stakes exchanges. The ability to identify and act on such moments is seen as a critical skill in political discourse, one that can influence both immediate perception and longer-term narratives surrounding a confrontation. In the aftermath of the exchange between J.D. Vance and Adam Schiff, analysts and media outlets turned their attention to the non-verbal dynamics that appeared to amplify the moment's impact. Observers noted that Vance's controlled posture, steady gaze, and measured delivery played a significant role in shaping how his remarks were received. Rather than escalating physically or vocally, his restraint created a contrast that drew attention to the substance of his words. Experts in political communication suggest that such body language can project confidence and authority, particularly in high-pressure environments, where perception often carries as much weight as argument. Footage reviewed across multiple platforms showed subtle but telling reactions within the room, including shifts in posture and brief pauses that followed key remarks. Analysts pointed out that even minor physical cues, such as eye contact, timing of gestures, and composure under pressure, can influence audience interpretation. In this case, the alignment between verbal precision and non-verbal control appeared to reinforce the perceived strength of Vance's position, while placing additional scrutiny on Schiff's response. The visual dimension of the exchange quickly became a focal point in coverage, with commentators highlighting how presence and delivery contributed to the broader narrative surrounding the confrontation. Immediate reactions inside the room following the pivotal remark from J.D. Vance were marked by a noticeable shift in atmosphere. According to individuals familiar with the exchange, witnesses described a brief but significant pause that followed the statement, during which attention appeared to center entirely on Adam Schiff. Such pauses, analysts note, can signal a moment of collective processing, where participants and observers alike assess the weight and implications of what has just been said. Reports indicate that the tone of the discussion changed immediately afterward, with subsequent remarks delivered more cautiously and with heightened awareness. Some attendees interpreted the silence as a sign of the statement's impact, while others viewed it as a natural break in a tense exchange. Media coverage quickly emphasized this moment, often portraying it as evidence of a decisive shift in momentum. The reaction within the room, though brief, became a key element in how the exchange was framed publicly, contributing to the perception that a single statement had altered the course of the interaction. Media coverage of the clash between J.D. Vance and Adam Schiff quickly converged on a single defining moment, with headlines framing it as a decisive verbal blow. Major outlets highlighted the precision and timing of the remark, while commentators debated whether the portrayal amplified its significance beyond the exchange. The confrontation between J.D. Vance and Adam Schiff sparked immediate political analysis, with experts assessing potential implications for both figures. Early reactions suggested the moment could influence future debates and public perception, though opinions remained divided on whether it marked a lasting shift or a short-term narrative surge. Clips of the exchange between J.D. Vance and Adam Schiff quickly went viral, spreading across social media platforms. Analysts noted that the brevity and impact of the remark made it highly shareable, fueling discussion and debate online as viewers dissected both intent and played out. Political strategists are examining the long-term narrative emerging from the confrontation between J.D. Vance and Adam Schiff. Early analysis suggests the moment could redefine public perception and become a reference point in future campaigns, highlighting the enduring influence of a single, well-timed statement. From the razor-sharp precision of Vance's 12-word strike to the impeccable timing that shifted control mid-debate, we've watched how strategy, delivery, and non-verbal cues combined to create a defining political moment. Media outlets captured the reactions, social media amplified every pause and glance, and public discourse dissected the implications. The room's immediate tension, Schiff's response under scrutiny, and the viral spread of the exchange all point to a single truth. A few carefully chosen words, delivered with calculated poise, can reshape narratives, dominate headlines, and leave a lasting mark on political history.